Of the Israeli government holding a private convention here in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this secret meeting was Judith Varnai Shorer. She's a former Israeli consul general who was operating out of Atlanta. She was one of the main people saying that the biggest problem that they had was young black people in the United States. But don't worry, they've got some black leaders on the payroll.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. The problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community.
So not Hamas, but black people. I would think my biggest problem would be the people trying to blow me off the fucking planet. Not black people. But, did y'all catch the lady at the end? She was the only one like, bitch, what? Like, what? Did you say that? Everybody else knew what the fuck was that. Everybody else knew what was up. They was just sitting there like, well, we all was thinking it. But, you know, she said it. I need some context. I need timelines. When did this happen? And why would she say something like that?
לעשות? לצאת מהארץ שלנו. כאשר שוטר פוגש חשוד, מטבע הדברים המוח שלו חושד בו יותר מאשר הוא היה חושד בו אילו הוא היה מישהו אחר.
Well, I'll be damned. That looks a lot like where I'm from. America. He said when cops run across a Sudanese man, an African man, a black man, he is more to suspect them of a crime than a white person. America. They're telling people to get out their country. They should be in camps. They're proud to be racist. Is Trump in Israel too? Y'all, I think they done found the Trump rally because it's getting fucking crazy. It's ridiculous. Y'all.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank, and today I want to talk about why the Jewish government believes that young African Americans are the biggest threat to their power, right? And because when they said it, we were like, what the hell? What? We just stating our opinion like everybody else stating their opinion. Why is it so concentrated on us, right? Why is it so concentrated on us? Why is it? How the hell is it that in a situation that technically ain't got nothing to do with us, how is that we are the biggest threat? We're a bigger threat than Hamas. We're a bigger threat than the Arab world. We're a bigger threat than everybody on the planet. Us particularly. Why would they say something like that, right? And I figured I'm gonna make a video doing my best to explain from maybe their perspective of why that is, right? Why that is. Now, you know how we have all this information that's just spilling out of everywhere, right? And we're either running into the truth or we're running into something pseudo disguised as the truth. And as time goes by, you have camps of people who follow dogma of truth, and people who follow dogma of conspiracies and fabricated truths, right? And it's a battle of, this fight is not a, it seems like on the surface that is between Islam and Judaism, Christianity and Judaism, black against white, and all these different groups against each other, as a base, right? That's what it looks like, right? And we all got our reasons for why we believe the things that we believe. But it's not really a battle about that. Those are the weapons that we use. Those are the patches that we wear on our uniforms. Those are the shields we use. Those are the tactics we employ, right? But that's actually not what the battle is about. That's not the actual sides of the battle, right? Those are the battlefields, but the actual battle is between the intelligent and the non-intelligent. It's between the masses of unintelligent people. And when I say unintelligent, it's not to belittle people lack of education, but the truth of the matter is, worldwide, humanity as a collective is not as intelligent as they should be, given all of the, access to information that they have nowadays, right? The requirement, the level of intelligence it requires to live in this environment. Every era has a level of intelligence necessary to thrive in its environment. And every creature on this planet has to have that level of intelligence to survive and thrive, or it goes away to the dodo bird, right? In the age of information, and in this age after the Industrial Revolution, and for human beings to actually thrive in this environment that we've created, the level of intelligence necessary to do that and to understand what's going on, to be woke, it's a lot more than it used to be. It's a lot more than it used to be. And we as a society are not measuring up because we spend too much time under the trappings of entertainment and ignoring or purposely avoiding the real world. Because most people are so busy just trying to survive, you don't have time to really explore, because your free time, you just want to relax. You don't want to have to think and continue to learn, because that's too much like working, and you already do that. But the fact remains, it's a battle between the educated and the non-educated. The educated and the non-educated. And the thing is, it's also a numbers game. And here are the facts on the ground. Here are the facts on the ground. And it doesn't matter what you feel like. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter who did what to you. It doesn't matter what you want to call yourself. It don't matter what you believe. None of this matters in the grand scheme of what's happening right now, because we as black people have the luxury to not have to worry about it. That's a privilege that we have on a human level, to not worry about this. Just like white people don't worry about racism, they are now, but they didn't have to worry about any of that shit. It wasn't something that they had to live with to survive. It wasn't necessary for them to thrive within their environment that they created. Right? It wasn't necessary. But now it's becoming necessary for them to understand, empathize fully about the truth, about the real world and what's really been going on around them. Right? Because the people who have the intelligence, right? The people who have the knowledge purposely withhold the knowledge from the masses, so that because knowledge is power, right? The game is about power. The people who know all the information, they don't want everybody to know the information, because if everybody knew, it would make a more equal, it would give everybody equal opportunity to wield that information, to interpret that information, to study that information, to use that information for commerce, right? So people with information like to hold the information and interpret the information for, on behalf of the information to the masses, to hold on to the power that the information holds. That's why they always say knowledge is power, right? You always hear that. They always say knowledge is power, right? What other phrases do you also hear, right? In the intellectual sphere, you also hear the pen is mightier than the sword, right? So the pen, why do they say the pen? Because I'm gonna get to it. Just follow me now. The pen is mightier than the sword, because you can take a sword, right? Sword meaning, like physical attack, like violence, right? An individual, committing an act, right? So you can take a sword, you can kill people with that sword, but usually one at a time, right? You can only do so much, and you probably can get subdued. You can only do so much with that sword. But with the pen, I can write, I can inspire, I can write words that are spells, and I can cast them on paper and ink to persuade other people to do what I want them to do. I can persuade thousands of people to pick up a sword and attack the same enemy instead of me picking up a sword and attacking that enemy. I can persuade people to feel any kind of way I want about a group of people, no matter what it is, because I own the information and they get their information from me, and I own them culturally, so they follow my rules because I have all the power. So I set the rules, I have all the power, right? And I control the information. So they believe what I tell them, right? They do what I tell them, and they're mad at who I tell them. So if I want to fight a war against a foe, I can galvanize them with any tool of propaganda I can use, whether I'm using the tool of racism today, the tool of xenophobia today, the tool of religious, dogma today, the tool of fright, oh, here they're coming to take my jobs, the tool of economics, terrorism, the tool of any tool I go into my bag of tools as a person with the information, I'm going to use depending on what group of people I'm dealing with, which tool can I use to better manipulate the individuals, race, religion, sexism. What tool am I going to use? Because that's how the people with all the money, the power, the information, that's what they do, right? So the European world, they have their own individual cultural codes of what you're not going to do. They control their people. They control the people from within their communities very tightly. They control them. Every different type of European group in their cultural groups are controlled tightly within their communities about what not to say, what not to talk about, what not to even learn, what not even look that direction. Don't even have that conversation for generations. So within all the European communities, right, the majority of them have been operating with the information given to them by their leaders, who just so happen to be the dominant force on the planet, right? They just happen to be the dominant force on the planet right now. Their leaders are feeding them designer information so they can believe what it is that they want them to believe, so they can be mad at any foe they want them to be mad at, so they can, feel any way they want them to feel. So that's the rich white folk who own all the corporations and companies, right? You got the ones that call themselves Jews, who are just Europeans who picked up a religion, right? And now they've taken that, manufactured an entire country underneath the foundation of all their stuff. Keep this in mind. They, Europeans, Anglo-Saxon Europeans, decided amongst themselves that a place in Northeast Africa, right outside of Northeast Africa, belongs to them because of a book that they manufactured over hundreds of years that they know that's not real. They know it's not real. They know it. But they just want the strategic location for economic reasons and for various other reasons, right? They know it. They're at the top, right? So they send their minions, the people in the media, the people with the message, the people with the pen, to wield their power since they own the information, right? The information, money is information, right? That ain't nothing but promissory notes that we have assets that we own because we have all the power, right? And then now it's digital and in crypto. It's all information now, right? They own the information. They give it to them the way they want to give it to them. That's why they're racist. That's why the ones we encounter as regular people, we run into these white folks, different type of white people, they look at us like they're afraid of us. They believe all the things that they're told about us, right? They, within their culture and community, they're told and taught and trained to be racist. Because we all know that no one's born racist, right? We all know we've seen little cute little white babies. They're about the most precious little thing, just like any other little baby. And we see how they play with each other in the daycare centers. None of that's there. It's all taught to them and programmed to them from within their family groups, because that's what the people who are in charge in their culture and community teach them, right? That's what they do, right? So, but it was easier to do when they could control the information. But here's the thing. They messed around, right? And it so happened to, out of all the people that around the world that they pillaged and plundered and stole, because keep in mind, when they was enslaving us, I want y'all to keep this in mind. When they were that 500 years they was enslaving us, at the very same time they were colonizing and committing mass genocide all around the world at the same time. All the horrible genocidal things that we know the Europeans do, they did it all within like a 500-year period. All this is recent. None of this is ancient history. This is all recent history. They all just did all of this stuff. None of this is old. In human history, it's all just happened. Okay? So they all just did all this stuff. But they just so happened to take a group of Africans, a group of human beings from Western Central Africa that have a particular cultural settings that's just not so easily extinguished, right? So no matter what the Europeans did to indoctrinate us on their form of European indoctrination, the thing that they want us to believe, understand, know, be afraid of, for some reason, the particular type of Central West African human beings, these people, they just never was successful enough to actually completely indoctrinate us. Our culture is too strong. So no matter how much they kept trying to rip us apart, it's too strong. So basically, you got all these African people with different cultures in Africa who had their own political and social, economic relationships with each other. And they were fighting each other and warring with each other for whatever various reasons, just doing life, right? Like everybody else. Europeans come along and take advantage of the divisions, right? And all of a sudden you get all these different type of African people with all the different type of African cultures and all their different type of African beliefs. That's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years older, more richer, more diverse, more panned out and explained and elaborated than anything Europeans and Asians have come up with since they've been here, right? And they took us and they got us all together. I mean, they got a few of us comparatively, and they took us to a whole nother place and forced us all, different Africans, different ethnic and religious and people groups, but all African. They forced us together in a small area and put us under bondage, under their institution and under their religion. So African Americans are nothing but a combination of various different African kingdoms, tribes, peoples, religion groups, forced to unite under pressure. Listen to what I just said. Forced to unite under pressure. What the continent of Africa is trying to do now. What the continent of Africa is trying to do now by unifying economically and socially. The Pan-African movement that's happening in West Africa right now. The ultimate goal that they're trying to achieve right now is to do something that's already been done. Is to do something there's already an example of the result of that unification. That's called the African American. And what happens when Africans are unified? African Americans are a unified African people. That's what we represent, because that's literally, biologically, genetically, nationally what we are. Literally, we are a unified African nation in another nation. Because of that, we have a particular set of skills, which are a combination of all the best parts and strongest parts of African culture that survived through the hardship of slavery. It's the wars that fought through the transatlantic slave trade and lived through Europeans in their form of authoritarianism, and their racism, and their classism, and their overwhelming dominance over us in a foreign land. Somehow, they were not able to kill us all off like they have been attempting to do. They tried to do it with biological means. They tried to do it with AIDS. They tried to do it with smallpox. They tried to do it with guns. They tried to do it with sterilization. They tried to do it with euthanation. They tried to do it with the jail system. They trying to do it with the healthcare system right now. The whole reason why America is supposedly the number one healthcare system in the world, the richest, most prosperous, most powerful, shining city on the hill country in the world, don't have universal healthcare like every other first world country that's finally coming into itself. Why don't we have it? It's because they didn't want black people to get healthcare, because they figured we would die off because we're not in our natural habitat. And because of that, we have particular issues like high blood pressure, vitamin D deficiency, and various other things that we have because we're outside of our environment. We belong to Africa, and we are made to be in Africa. That's it. These winters are not for us over here. And because of that, we suffer certain issues. We're not quite eating the food we're supposed to eat. And we're drinking and consuming milk. Only white people, Anglo-Saxon European white people, were made to produce milk. The rest of us are lactose intolerant. So because of that, we African Americans are very boisterous because we're fighters. We've been in a slow boil of a war for our survival for 500 years. That's why we're so quick to activate. And see, another issue tactically that the Europeans didn't think of, which they're reaping what they sow now, is you can't, and another brother said this even better, I think it was King Gandhi's channel or something like that. I forgot. It was somebody's channel. These are not my words. But no, it was a guy on TikTok. He was talking to a white woman she was complaining about why black people are taking over Europe. Right? She was like, you guys it's not fair that you guys are taking over Europe. And she's just a regular white person indoctrinated within their culture. She don't know. From her perspective, she just see black people taking over Europe. It's not fair. It's her homeland, right? Just like Africa's our homeland, right? But he said it just like this. He said, if you come in my house and you take my TV, right, and you go and put it in your house, then how can you complain when I come over to your house and sit down and watch the football game? And she didn't know what to say. And that's basically it. Europeans made a strategic mistake by scorched earth tactics, by destroying, instead of doing it a different way, they decided to destroy and scorch earth all the places that they stole resources from or are currently stealing resources from. They create the environments in these countries that before they came along were doing just fine with their own systems and their own societies. They came along, destroyed them, right? And it continues to exploit them privately, causing the conditions at which the people no longer can see a viable future in their country, and they go to where they see is nice. They go to where all their stuff is going. They go to where all their minerals is going, where all their diamonds is going, where all their jewels is going. Because it's theirs. They're following their own stuff to where it's going. That's what's happening. But so before you know it, all the European home places, they become brown. Darker and darker and darker. Right? Europeans get more and more comfortable, and there's more and more jobs they want to do. They're not going to go out there and pick fruits. They're not going to go out there and they're not going to be scrubbing toilets, right? Now they don't even want to be secretaries. They don't want to be doctors. They don't want to be nurses. They don't want to be lawyers. They don't want to be engineers. They don't want to do anything. They want to be rich and have people do everything for them. So what does that mean? That means that other people are going to fill those positions. So before you know it, all the critical positions that you need to run a society is run by the very same people that were your servants. And now they're making all that money, and they're just squeezing you out of the middle class, or now competing with you in the middle class. Now everywhere you turn around, you see nothing but those people that you thought were underneath you doing those jobs. That's probably above what it is that you do as a white person, if you know what I mean. Right? So they feel like they're being invaded. Not invaded like a conventional war, but invaded like as an organism invades another organism. Like an ant colony invading another territory with another ant colony. That type of stuff. Human level stuff. Human extinction stuff. And doesn't help that they ain't having no babies. It doesn't help that they have a small population. Europeans never had a large population. Europeans never had a large population. They have a small population. They did all this on a very small population. It was very risky business tactics to which they used to do what they did. But they did it. But now the repercussions are bigger than the results, than the milking. The repercussions of their actions, the side effects of their actions is causing a more severe reaction, and it's not worth what they got out of it. It's not worth it, because now they're effectively basically signed their own, their own 401k. They're cashing their own 401k because of their own tactics, if you know what I mean. So that's why they're in such a frenzy to control the message, because the thing is, when it comes to the Jewish thing, they control that. And the thing is, they're Christian, but they need Israel to exist because they need those Israels to have the war, the Armageddon. There's a certain play that they say is supposed to happen. There's a play that's supposed to take place, and they need those people there for the play to take place for their own selfish reasons. So, they don't even care about Israel per se. They just need the story to take place correctly. So it has to be there, right? This is on the lower planes of thinking, because they don't know. This is the story they've been told. This is why they blindly support Israel. This is the well-to-do needs their masses of peasants to love Israel unconditionally. Never say anything about them. If you say anything, we'll punish you within society. That's why people are always afraid to say anything about Israel. That's why all the way up to when Kanye said something, everybody was afraid to say something about Jews and Israel, because you knew that their power structure will reach through whatever institution that you work for, that they own, to snatch you and punish you for having the gall to criticize them. Right? But now more and more people are not afraid anymore. And why are they not afraid? It was because black people are not within that cultural, we're not in there, right? Unlike the other groups, other European groups, right? They're in there because they're white. They're in that 100% in their culture. They follow that. That's a white code. Black people, we just always knew that Jews owned everything. right? We always knew while the rest of the white folks didn't know. They looked at them as just special group of people who, you know, are God's people and this and that. We knew they was just white folk who chose that, they chose that religion, right? They were just another group of white folks, faction of white people, Europeans, vying for power and dominance in the world. We always do that. And they make money. We know they're good at it. We know they're good at organization. We knew, right? But nobody was listening to us black folks when we've been talking this whole time. Nobody been listening to us. And sometimes the Jewish faction would help us out against the regular neo-Nazi white faction, right? The Jewish rich faction would help us out against the neo-Nazi KKK, you know, Anglo-Saxon, you know, non-Jewish faction of white people vying for dominance and power. You know, they would, right? So we had our backs towards the Jewish white power system because our main as black people, our main enemy was the neo-Nazi KKK faction of white power structure. Those are our clear and present danger. The Jewish ones, they're just doing they just, you know, for far as we have been concerned, they're just doing business with us, even though they have been behind the scenes and other architects and the financiers behind the transatlantic slave trade. But that's even higher up in the line, right? They all participated in it, along with the Arabs. But the thing is, this thing that they created, unbeknownst to them, which is a unified Africa, which is African Americans, we fight back because we're warriors. African people, when African people stop being so peaceful, because that's the thing, we're so goddamn peaceful and nice, right? We're so goddamn peaceful and nice. But when you piss us off, and we get there, when we get to battle mode, when we get to fight mode, when we get to, you know what, fuck it, let's do this mode, and we're armed with intelligence, because the thing is, you know, we created the greatest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world, is with the most capable surveillance technology, the most capable spy technology, the most capable, the best internet and all that stuff. And guess who was designing that stuff? Guess who's working in those corporations? Guess who's CEOs and COOs and CFOs and vice presidents and presidents of companies like that? That's black people. We in there with all that information, right? So we in the nooks and crannies of the system that was created and built. So because of that, we have that knowledge. And then our African brothers are coming over here and they're also gaining that knowledge because they're also in the system. And in the UK, in the system. We in the system. We're in their system and there's nothing they can do about it, right? But African Americans, we in their system. We know their system. We know them. We know what they can do. And we remember what they did and we want to talk about it. While they hide, their whole community don't know how bad the slavery was. Their whole community don't know how bad the transatlantic slave trade. You think they was teaching Europeans how disgusting and awful they were? You think they were teaching their pupils what they really did in them slave quarters? You think they was teaching them about the intricate details about what was going on them plantations? You think they was teaching their children about what they were doing on the West Coast and the central parts of Africa, how things are the way they are? You think they were teaching their children that? No, because they want them to forget that, because information is power and that information is powerful. So if you let it disappear in the realms of time, then you ain't got to deal with it no more. But guess what? Black people don't forget. We like the great African elephant. We don't forget, and we're going to bring it up, and we want everybody to know about it. And now they're having to face themselves. The man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. Now they have to face themselves. And we black people will never let them forget. We won't shut up. We won't follow that European white code that the Jewish people are an omnipotent group of people. And Israel, for some reason, even though it was put there in like 1940s, is always supposedly been there for thousands of years, even though there's actually no archaeological evidence of any group of people ever being there called those people. But we're just going to withhold actual science and historical knowledge and information. And we're going to really play pretend about this because this book that we know is manufactured, right, says so. Because it fits our narrative and need, but it doesn't work anymore because black people ain't falling for it. And the thing is, not only are we not falling for it, but they can't get rid of us. They can't kill us off. And they tried to take ourselves away from us. They tried their best to make us stupid and not know who we are, but for some reason we still remember. So that didn't work. They tried to kill us off genetically. That didn't work. They tried to use guns and bullets. That didn't work. There's nothing they can do to kill us off. And while they're suffering and having an existential population decline, we're booming, right? They're having 2 conversations on the news right now. Oh, there's too many humans on the earth. At the same time, oh, white people are not having enough babies. So who having all the babies? That's us, black people. We're taking over everything. Think about it. That's the big picture. And that's how they're looking at it. And now you got these African Americans, which are a sample size of a unified Africa, right? They got all their tricks and all their trades. We're opening our mouths and we're talking and we're speaking, and we don't care about what they gonna do. What are they gonna do that they ain't already did? That's the thing. And now that everybody's finding out what they did, other groups of people are starting to have more appreciation for us. Other groups are starting to have a wow moment about what they did to us, right? Now, and the worst thing for these people, and I'm talking about the rich people. I'm talking about the ones at the top, the ones that call themselves, politicians and Jews and CEOs of these multinational corporations. These ones that's trying to they're the ones that's trying to stay on Mount Olympus. These ones right here, they understand that their people, the ones that they use are controlling, you can't control them no more. Because once they find out, once they know better, they're going to start doing better. And once that happens, that's it. The mechanism for their control and power is over. And then what are they going to do? Right? That's why we're so dangerous. People, that's why people want to ride our coattails. We are the biggest, most powerful population on the planet because we're black, right? Like, as far as numbers. And African people, African American people specifically, are the most influential people on the planet. People listen to us. When we speak, people listen. We are not afraid, and everybody's telling. You can hear all the different groups saying it. All the different Arabs that's coming online about, what's their situation is for real. All the different Europeans coming online about what their different situation is for real. All the different Asians and all the different other Africans coming online about what their situation is for real. And figuring out, like, goddamn, them African Americans been right this whole time. We thought they was just running their mouth, talking shit. We thought they were just complaining and not being thankful to the things that they have, not realizing that the things they had because the things their ancestors had to do, forced to do. Not realizing that a lot of this great advancement in technology was due to the African American, which is the sample size and the what it looks like to have a unified Africa. That's what we are. We are that. We are unified Africans in America. We had no choice. And they see what can come of that. They see what can come of our unity. That's why we're so dangerous. Our rise to power, even though it's not like we want to rise to power to destroy them, because that's not our nature. But our rise to power and our stability as we step up the steps of success, what it does, it contradicts what they want to do, and it stops them because it's just too powerful. It's too influential. People would agree with it. They would gravitate towards it, and people would pick our version over their version. It's a threat to their way of life. African success is a threat to these people's way of life. It is. Because there's a whole bunch of people of different races that don't mind blending into their historical African roots. It's going to happen anyway. All these children we've created, these other races, will be reabsorbed back into the fold at some point over time. It's inevitable. It's just too many of us, and we're just in too many places, and our genes is just too dominant. We are the parents. We are the parents. They are the children, and everybody's coming slowly to that realization. And after that, they're not even going to fight it no more. People are already trying to give up the title white. They're looking for any justification to come to slide in this backside in the cookout somewhere and sit over at a special table somewhere. Everybody's looking for a way in. Everybody's looking for a way in. So at some point it's gonna happen. And that's what they're afraid of. The great replacement theory. That's why they got this thing called Project 2025 going. They're doing everything they can to stop it. But it's just nature. There's nothing they can do about it. It's not something we're doing as black people intentionally. It's just how nature works. It's biology. That's just it. Anyway, hope you guys understood what I said here. I hope you understand why they're afraid of us. We are the influencers. We are powerful. They know it. We're coming online. Our brains are turning on. We're sucking in information and we're starting to use that information. And we're having better self-esteem about ourselves. That's another thing they don't like. They don't like us feeling good about ourselves. They don't like us talking about the positive stuff. They don't like us feeling good about being black. They don't like that. That's bad for them. But there's nothing they can do about it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.